Hey everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, January 13th, 2013. Again, for like the third week in a row, Jack is killing me. He's really killing me. And it's not even so much that the storyline is super compelling. For me, it's all about Peter Bergman's performance. It is stellar. I am with him every single step along this way. And Jack is such a classic character that the writers have just taken all the way down. He's gone all the way down. And I've been with him for the full ride, just through the emotions, just totally emotionally. So this week, he went off to rehab. Phyllis is going to take him up to the Abbott cabin to meet an addiction specialist, where he's going to slowly wean off the pills and go through a privatized version of rehab. But before they leave, Kyle rushes over to the house thinking that his dad just had a heart attack, and Jack tells him, no, it's not a heart attack. You know, Kyle's heard the huge news story that Adam put out there, but Jack lets him know that's not the case. I'm just gonna go to rehab. And there was this really nice moment between father and son where Kyle is so happy to see that Jack is finally getting help. He kind of says, oh, this is the best present ever. This is the best present you could give me. And it dawns on Jack that it's Kyle's birthday, that he's forgotten his own son's birthday. And it's a horrible moment for Jack, but he totally flips it by just trying to come up with something meaningful that he can give to Kyle instead. And he turns around, gets into his desk drawer, and pulls out a compass, an old compass. And he says to Kyle, me and my dad were both Boy Scouts, and my dad gave this compass to me, and he, told me to use it to always make sure I know what direction I'm going in, and I want to give it to you now as my son because you have always been my true north. And it was such a good moment because it's with shaky hands that Jack is handing over this compass, just trying to give something to his son that is meaningful. And I cried hard. I cried really hard during that scene. I just feel like Peter Bergman has taken what is really a crappy storyline, something that should make me hate Jack, and he's turned it into gold because I feel more empathetic toward Jack than ever. It was a wonderful moment between them, and I have to say, Kyle is growing on me a little bit more every time I see him. Now, Billy also stopped by right before Jack left to let Jack know that he's decided, yes, he will take over the helm of Newman Enterprises and keep an eye on things while Jack is away, which was a huge relief off of Jack's mind. I think more than anything, that's what's really bothering him. His lust for Newman Enterprises is what's kind of driven him toward the pills. It was forcing him to want to get back into the fold before he was physically ready. So knowing that someone he could trust was at the company was a big load off for him. And again, that was also a nice moment too, to see that the brothers had put their differences aside and started healing. And it was overall just a healing moment. Like, yes, okay, we're gonna go get better. Everything's gonna be fine. So Phyllis takes him up to the cabin. They arrive there, and the therapist isn't there. The therapist is running late, apparently, which is totally irresponsible. The fact that the therapist was not there was totally irresponsible of this therapist. Jack is starting to go through withdrawals. He's, again, more shaky. He's getting real anxious. Looks like he's really cold and hot, and he's physically going through withdrawals. He's going through the ringer right now, and Phyllis finally gets on the phone with this therapist and says, where are you? The guy says he's not coming until tomorrow. He had an emergency with another patient. That is so freaking rude. This is a responsibility. Is what Jack is going through is an emergency. It's something that you need to take care of because cold turkey is dangerous. Jack is withdrawing from serious medication. He needs medical attention. He really needed a hospital. He could have had a heart attack during this withdrawal. He could have had any number of things. He could have had a stroke. He could have gotten seriously injured or sick or had a convulsion and hit his head. He could have tried to hurt somebody. There's a million different ways that this could have gone really wrong, and I was totally ticked off that the therapist wasn't there for him. But now they're stuck up at the cabin, he and Phyllis. What are they gonna do? Phyllis has no choice but to just sit through this night with him, and it turned out to be a horrible night because Jack started getting really gritty, really down far. I mean, he, on top of everything physical that he's going through, he's also hallucinating. And Phyllis is there, and he's seeing her, and he starts to think that Phyllis is Stephanie. And he's saying to Phyllis, Stephanie, why did you have to die? Why did you do this to me? And Phyllis, I cannot even imagine what that would be like, to be standing there, you know, with someone that you love, watching them go through this, but also wondering, what's that all about? Why is he talking about Stephanie? Because he was so passionate and so upset about it, and the emotions were running so high, and he went through a range of emotions from fear to absolute confusion and even anger toward Phyllis. Like, all of these emotions, I think he was kind of pointing toward Phyllis because she was the only one there, and he was saying things to her like, why did you have to ruin our marriage? Or you went off and left me, you cheated on me, and you know, you destroyed that, and it was, but you know, there were other moments where he was really grateful for her. So it was such a roller coaster of emotion, and I am really impressed with how there for him Phyllis was, because she didn't know she was signing up for that crap, but she really stuck it out with him, and I think that said a lot about her character. People kind of say a lot of things about Phyllis, but she is loyal. She was loyal to Jack in that moment, and she even said something like, I think people are just afraid of my, you know, ferociousness, and Jack said, you know, that's what I like about you, and it is true. I think the things that everyone else has been afraid of about Phyllis's personality, Jack seems to embrace them. In fact, it seems Jack, you know, was one of the only people, I think, that really loved her unconditionally. Nick, it's hard for me to see Phyllis with anyone but Nick now at this point. It's been so long, but you know, I think that Jack really has always loved her. He really has always had a soft spot for her, and I think he would be good to her. I don't know. I think this is the beginning of their relationship, but I don't know what she's going to do when she finds out about everything that he's done, because when he starts to come through, Phyllis asks him about Stephanie. What is this all about? But she kind of answered her own question. Maybe he doesn't really want to know what the real answer was, but she said, you know, she kind of assumed that Stephanie was a drug dealer. That was his drug dealer, and so she sort of, you know, wrote that off and didn't pursue it. And Jack certainly wasn't offering up any of the information. In fact, Jack was trying to cover up as much as possible, acting like he was just hallucinating. No, anything I said, that wasn't really it. I was just, you know, I was going through withdrawal, and I don't know. It's so bad. It's what Jack has gotten himself into is so bad. And even when he does come out of this addiction, when he is better and fully physically recovered, he's not out of the woods, because he has to bear this on his conscience forever, that he played a role in someone's death. He didn't do anything directly to kill Stephanie, obviously, but he feels responsible that this woman died in his living room on the floor, and that he had Adam take care of her by disposing her body in an alley. It is very disrespectful to this person, and no matter if she was a prostitute or druggie or whatever, nobody deserves to be dumped off in an alley after they die, and Jack has to bear that on his conscience forever. And Victor's about to bear it to the press as well. So Victor hired Stephanie, but I think he just wanted to create a booze and pills scandal for Jack to force him to step down from Newman Enterprises. I don't think that anybody knew that she was going to overdose. I think that was an unexpected part of what happened, but now that it has happened, it's almost even better for Victor in a weird, sick and twisted way, because Victor knows instinctually that Adam helped Jack cover that up. And if Victor can prove that that's what happened, he can kill two birds with one stone. Send both Jack and Adam to jail. Who cares? Whatever. Victor just wants his company back, and he doesn't care about either Jack or Adam. He wants to get them out of the way. Victor has been talking with this investigator that he's hired, and he really wants to leak the story. He wants the press to know all of this, whether it's founded or not. I mean, Victor has definitely admitted that he doesn't have any proof of what happened, but he at least wants to plant the seed out there. But he decides that he wants to wait to leak this story to the media until Jack is found. Until, I mean, at this point, nobody knows where Jack is, and he wants to make sure that Jack is fully visible and ready to deal. You know, I mean, he really wants to stick it to him while he can watch him, I think. So Victor sends his investigator up to the cabin because Jack's assistant Mason has given Victor the information about the contact numbers where Jack can be found. So Victor figures out that Jack is up at the Abbott cabin and sends his investigator up there to keep an eye. But while Victor is doing all of this plotting, Nicki walks in and hears him talking about Jack's addiction and realizes that Victor is going to try to use that and is very upset about it. First of all, Nicki has an addiction. She's an alcoholic, and she says to Victor, you know what it's like. You know what this is like firsthand. Why would you go and exploit that with someone else when you understand that it's a disease and everything that's involved in it? Why would you do that to someone else? And I really thought, yeah, Nicki, you need to be standing up for Jack. Is it just me? Because I feel like she owes Jack a little bit of loyalty after the way she dogged him. She totally used Jack to tick Victor off. She totally married Jack to get back at Victor, or because she couldn't have Victor because Victor was married to Sharon. It was such a revenge marriage, which could only happen in a soap opera. It's so absurd. But don't you think that Nicki owed Jack just a little bit of loyalty? Try to sidestep Victor a little bit, find out what he's doing, and maybe just protect Jack just a little. He's one of your oldest friends. You've been married to him more than once. You lost a child together. Isn't there something that you can do for him? Other than just get mad, because that's all she did. She got a little bit mad at Victor, and Victor blows it off. Acts like, oh, it's nothing. Well, Nicki should know better. Of course Victor's up to something big. You know what he's doing. You should know him better than anyone else by now. And as soon as Nicki starts to get just a little bit suspicious about, you know, what Victor's doing, she comes home, and Victor has given her a fancy dinner. That's all he does. He does something to tick Nicki off, and then he does something sweet to counteract it, and she totally forgives him. If Nicki were my friend in real life, I would tell her to leave Victor. It's so transparent, and it really just bothers me. I mean, what did Jack really do to Victor this time around? Really? Jack allowed Colleen's heart to be given to Victor. Doesn't Victor owe Jack a little bit of loyalty? It's just stupid, because Victor wants to say that Jack stole his company. Jack stole Newman Enterprises from him. But Jack didn't steal anything. Jack made a play, a business move, completely legally, and furthermore, he really only did what Victor would have done himself. Jack didn't do anything to Victor that Victor wouldn't have done to Jack, but now Victor wants his freaking company back, and it's created this Jack and Adam versus Victor feud. And Adam is he's in a weird go-between position. For the last several weeks, I have not been able to peg him. I just haven't really understood where Adam's mind is, like, whose side is he on? Because he acts like he's Jack's friend, and he's looking after Jack and trying to help him, obviously, convince him to get off the pills and help him cover up this whole hooker mess. And then Adam will go to Victor and act like he's on Victor's side. And in fact, Adam sat down with Victor this week and tried to act like he was giving him information. Adam said, you know, I've learned a little bit more information about what happened with Jack. This, you know, something happened in there with the prostitute, a prostitute. And like, Adam was kind of giving information to Victor, fishing for information back, trying to figure out what exactly it was that Victor knew. And it was an interesting scene because it was a lot like a poker game, you know, who's going to show their hand, who's going to show who's bluffing, and it was kind of interesting. And then later, finally, after several weeks of me being like, huh? Adam sits down, there's a scene of just him sitting in his chair having a phone call with some person, and he's talking about how he is going to prove that Victor was the one behind sending the prostitute in, and further revealed that he will never let Victor get Newman Enterprises back. So Adam's motives are revealed. Really, it's less that he's working on Jack's side and more that he's working against Victor, which shouldn't surprise any of us. Certainly shouldn't surprise me. But meanwhile, Victor's still playing his own game. Victor calls up the congressman. This prostitute was a congressman's daughter. They were estranged, but she was still a congressman's daughter, a very powerful person, a person of interest, something, you know, someone that would create a larger media story. So Victor calls this congressman over to his condo, which it was awfully callous. It really was. And Victor says, you know, I'm sorry to hear about your daughter. The congressman is immediately put off because this is not something that's been made public yet, especially because, you know, the congressman seems to have kind of wanted to keep it quiet because his daughter was a prostitute, probably, and Victor, knows the whole thing, and Victor tells the congressman that he believes Jack and Adam were involved, and that if the congressman wants to pursue justice, then Victor's going to be right there to make sure justice is done. So it's interesting. I don't know. Is Victor going to prove that Jack and Adam covered up her death before Adam proves that Victor was the one that sent her in the first place? It's created kind of an interesting stalemate, and the question is, who's going to come out on top? Michael Mooney was obviously sick for the taping of this week's show. Did you guys notice that Adam's voice was really kind of raspy and a little bit it was a little bit deeper than normal? You could tell the poor guy was sick, but he was pushing through. He was still doing a good job. So Chelsea wants to move. Chelsea wants to get away from Genoa City, get out of Dodge. I can't blame her. There's a lot of baggage in Genoa City. There's really no reason why she should want to stay there, but every time that they have talked about leaving town, I'm rolling my eyes because I know obviously that is not going to happen. They're not going anywhere. It's a slight little pipe dream of Chelsea's, and it was a nice little dream for her for a moment. She's trying to decide where they should move. New York, Milan, Paris, where should they go? And she finally decides on Paris. They're going to move to Paris. They're gonna stay in a hotel for a while, and then I'm sure they'll buy a place, and it'll be such a nice, relaxing life, and it sounds really nice. And they had this moment where they're looking at a translator, realizing that they don't really know French, and they start playing basically a game of strip French. Like every time you get a translation wrong, you take off an article of clothing. It was entertaining, I will have to say. And Chelsea did look pretty hot. I will give that to her. I've not been a Chelsea fan, but she was standing there in this really cute bra and panty set, black, kind of lacy on the bottom, and I was like, oh, that looks pretty good. I think that's the first time we've really seen Chelsea bare it all, but it was pretty nice. I would have liked to have seen a little more of Adam. That's what I was hoping for, but it was still pretty good. I mean, that was an interesting little sidetrack, but there are so many little signs along the way that Chelsea's just choosing to ignore. They start to talk about selling the house, since if they're really leaving Genoa City, no reason to keep the house, and Adam doesn't want to sell. He comes up with some lame excuse about it being for tax purposes. He wants to keep the house. really? It's just kind of completely ridiculous. And not only that, but Adam is running around telling her that he has a lot of loose ends to tie up at a company that I don't even remember him getting rehired to. The last time I checked, Jack fired Adam, and I don't really remember him hiring him back. I think Adam just sort of reassumed the position of CEO while Jack was going through his mess, or Adam kind of forced him into it, I guess, after the whole disposing of a dead hooker's body thing. But Adam is putting a lot of effort into lining up, keeping his ducks in a row at Newman Enterprises when, I mean, if he's really truly going to move away forever, why would he bother? And why would he furthermore bother to hire Sharon? He wants to hire Sharon to take over Phyllis's position in the R&D department as the head of R&D. And I mean, if he was leaving Genoa City forever, why would he care who's the head of R&D? I don't know. I guess he still has stock in the company, so that could probably be a reason. But he specifically wanted to hire Sharon, okay? And he did run it by Chelsea first. And of course, Chelsea has to tag along with him to go offer the job to Sharon, which was totally pathetic. It's so pathetic. But I don't blame her. I wouldn't let Adam and Sharon be in the same room together. The only reason I would be okay with him hiring Sharon would be because we're supposedly leaving town, but she couldn't have believed that in her bones that they were actually leaving. So it was pathetic to see Adam there at Sharon's house offering her a job, and Chelsea's just in the background like, yeah, sure, go ahead and take it. I don't really care. We're getting out of here. So Sharon accepts the job after some reluctance, of course. She didn't seem to really want to go back to Newman Enterprises. There's a lot of bad things that have happened there, but she eventually decided, you know what, I'm strong, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna take the job. So good for her, I'm glad. And of course, they crossed paths in Adam's office just for a few hours. Adam is assuming that, he's leaving town. In fact, they booked their flights to leave tonight, and Adam's still running around the office trying to make arrangements, and he walks in the door and Sharon is there, and they talk for a little bit, and you can tell that Sharon is very disappointed that Adam is leaving town. She may not want to exactly have a relationship with him, but there is a connection. They have been married, for crying out loud. They've been through so much, and she likes having him around. He's her friend. I mean, they're at the very least kind of friends. So she even says to him, you may decide to leave Genoa City, but this is your home. You have a lot of memories here, and it's always going to be a part of you. Whether you like it or not, Genoa City is always going to be a part of you. And I think that had a real effect on him. I think he heard it. I think on top of all of the business reasons that Adam has for wanting to stay in town, there are emotional reasons too. I think he feels really compelled toward her, and I think emotionally he doesn't want to leave. This is where he belongs. After all, this is his home. And, oh yeah, of course, he just disposed of a dead body, and he might want to stick around for a little while and make sure that that stays covered up. So, Adam has his own investigator snooping around this issue, and he tells, the investigator finally tells him that, oh crap, this woman was not only a druggy prostitute, she was also a congressman's daughter. That ups the ante for Adam. Now he has disposed of a congressman's daughter's dead body. It puts a wrench in things. You can't really leave now. If you wanted to leave before, you definitely can't leave now. So Adam goes home. He opens up the door. Chelsea's got all of the bags packed, and he just tells her flat out, I can't go. I can't go. I need 2 more weeks. I still got to wrap things up here. And she immediately is like, ugh, 2 more weeks really? Or is it 2 more months, 2 more years, 10 more years? Ever? Are you ever going to be ready? Is it ever going to be our time? I'm sorry, but the answer is no. It is not. If I were Chelsea, I don't know why she couldn't just go by herself. Why doesn't she just go by herself? He said 2 weeks is what I need to continue to wrap things up. If she trusted him, which she doesn't, she would have just gone ahead and trusted that he would have come along in 2 weeks. But she can't trust him, and she certainly can't leave him now that Sharon is at the company. 2 weeks could make the whole difference. In 2 weeks, her marriage could be officially over. So Chelsea just kind of defeatedly grabs her bag, stomps up the stairs to unpack and pout and sulk, I'm sure. Ugh, it was very disappointing for her, but I'm sorry, girl. You can't force Adam to go anywhere. He is already gone. In accordance with Jack's wishes, Billy has decided to take the co-CEO position at Newman Enterprises. Does that even exist in real life? I'm just curious. Have you ever heard of a co-CEO situation? I've never heard of that. I don't know, but he's co-CEO with Adam while he's still around. I mean, Adam's good at what he does. Jack just doesn't trust him. But Victoria has also decided to come on board, and she's gonna help fight to protect Daddy's company. And of course she won't, she told him that that's exactly what she's gonna do. She's gonna join the fight, and Victor's happy that she's going to join the fight. He wasn't very happy when he found out that Billy is co-CEO of his company. Billy is just a perpetual screw up, and Victor doesn't want to hear that the future of his company is in the hands of this perpetual screw up, and I just can't blame him. Billy, every time he starts to get on track, it's one step forward and two steps back with this guy. What is going on with the cards thing, with the gambling thing, you guys? Because last week, Billy was sneak gambling, and now Billy's trying to work it into daily life. That him and Victoria are strategizing about how they're gonna, make things right at Newman Enterprises and Jabot. And Billy takes out a deck of cards and starts to give Victoria this card illustration about how they're gonna work it out, and like through poker. It was stupid. It was like, I'm gonna give you a card lesson, as if Victoria is a 6-year-old who needs to have things explained to her very slowly and carefully. No, she's a competent business person. I think that's Billy trying to work in the cards, like, oh yeah, it's okay. Cards are okay. It's okay if I'm playing cards a little bit. He's getting back into his old ways, which I don't want to see. I don't want to see Billy in another gambling storyline. Can you even believe it? After his wife got kidnapped as a result of his gambling debts, less than a month later, he's playing cards again. I would divorce him so fast. I just can't believe it. But hopefully it's not headed in that direction. Hopefully it is just, I don't know, a signal, and they're not going to pursue it, because I don't want to see it. I want to see everybody happy and healthy, at least for a little bit. And Victoria and Billy have their hands full. Right now, they are kind of working a double agenda, okay? Essentially, Billy wants to separate Jabot out from Newman Enterprises because apparently the paperwork has not been filed. Jack had intended to combine Jabot and Newman to have one super company, but Billy realizes that sooner or later, Victor's probably going to get this company back, and that means he's going to not only have Newman back, but he's going to have Jabot. So Billy wants to protect his family company by making sure that that merger does not go through, and Victoria agrees with it. I agree with them in their premise. Victor should have Newman, Jack should have Jabot. Eventually, that's the way it needs to work out, but I don't know if they're going to be able to accomplish that. Victoria and Billy see Adam as their only roadblock to making that not happen. And Adam is supposedly leaving. They both think that Adam is leaving soon, and they're going to be able to just do their own thing and do what they want. The only person who's not buying that is Victor. Victor knows damn well that Adam ain't going nowhere. Of course, Cassie's birthday has to be on a week when I'm feeling emotional anyway. Sharon looking at that photo album of pictures of Cassie, it had me busted up. It's sometimes easy to forget what Nick and Sharon have been through. Because so much other stuff happens after that. So much other stuff has happened after that. But when you talk about Nick and Sharon's characters, who they are as people, you really do have to consider that these are people who lost a teenage daughter. And it was obviously so unexpected, so horrific, and it really, really changed everything about Y&R. I think that was one of the most pivotal moments in Y&R history, and I do appreciate that Y&R still remembers it, that they still honor Sharon, or honor Cassie, and it makes me happy to know that specifically Sharon is moving on with her life and that she is feeling better and she's looking better. Sharon had on this just really cute fuchsia one shoulder bare, one shoulder with the bra strap look with tight leather pants on, and it was just really cute. She looked good this week. It's the healing, I think, is happening, and it was good to see Nick and Sharon together. I really appreciate that. And in order to honor Cassie's memory, they decided to bake cookies, which I don't ever remember Cassie doing a lot of baking, but they were trying to remember her, you know, they were making her favorite cookies, and they were going to go take them to the paramedics as they're the first responders on the scene of accidents and many times life and death situations. So they wanted to pay respect in that way also, and I thought that was really, really nice. And the entire time they're also trying to make sure that they're talking a lot about Cassie and telling stories so that Faith can hear them, and so that Faith will always have a sense that she had an older sister who would have loved her very much. And it felt good. I really appreciated that. That was kind of a really genuine heart moment that Y&R gave to us. And the entire time, though, Noah was distracted. He knew Cassie very well, and he experienced her loss as well. And this Adrianna and this money situation is taking him out of a really important family moment, and it really ticked me off. Nick and Sharon knew right away that Noah was trying to get out of the cookie baking. He was trying to get out of the whole thing, and they knew right away. They pegged him. You know, this is obviously about Adrianna. Is she in town? They guessed, and we're totally right. Noah seems to have this save a woman complex that he has inherited from his father, and as soon as Adrianna showed up, she was begging him to help her. She doesn't have anybody. Well, where were you before now? Obviously somebody was helping you. They probably kicked you out, and now you're just using Noah as a last-ditch effort, because she is working the sex route very, very hard. She wants Noah to help her, and she is all smooching up on him, and it was just like, Noah is just like his father in that way. Cannot say no to sex. Noah was very, very tempted by what she was putting out there, but her tune changed pretty quick when she found out that the money is gone. He doesn't have the money. So all of a sudden she's, deciding she wants to hang around Genoa City to try to look for it, and it's a bad idea. She begs Noah to help her, help hide her, help have her, find her a place to stay. He agrees to, put her up at the club for one night, and the girl is there really, really enjoying the amenities. She's just chilling down in the dining room. She's having breakfast, having him charge it to the room, and she's scheduled a massage later. It's like a vacation to her. She is not grasping at all the seriousness of the situation. Noah's got this cop breathing down his neck every other day, and she's having a massage at the club. It's totally reckless, totally annoying. She ends up running in to Alex, the cop. Everybody thought he was gone. He kind of acted like, oh yeah, I left Genoa City. But no, he was kind of lying in wait, knowing that Adrianna was going to show up there sooner or later. And he put her to the test. He put her on notice and said, I know you're involved in this. I want you to tell me what the truth is. She, of course, denies everything. And then runs to Noah. Finally, he was able to, he finishes up everything with Cassie's remembrance, and he runs over to the club to talk to her, and she starts giving him this sob story. She's saying, first of all, that, Noah is trying to convince her to tell Alex everything. Just come clean. Tell him what she knows. And she is saying Alex is a dirty cop. He's a bad cop. She's actually said that a couple of times, and that planted a little seed in my mind. I thought, ooh, is that true? So far, Alex seems like he's very above board, but is it possible that he is just a dirty cop looking for the money? Is it possible that he is not a cop? Is he even a cop? Is there any chance that Alex is actually posing as a cop and maybe he's actually a bad guy? See, I think that would be a wonderful twist. That would get him out of needing to go back, to anywhere else. I want him to stay in Genoa City and get acquainted with a few people. I don't know. I think that would be a great twist. I wonder if Adrianna is actually right about that. But I don't like her attitude. I am not feeling it at all. Noah is trying to put pressure on her, and the second he does, she starts spitting out this sob story, this poor me, my daddy didn't love me, and men treat me bad, and she told this story about her brother, who apparently was always very good to her, but at one point, I don't know, like almost tried to pimp her out or something. That her brother had a friend that he wanted her to get to know, and obviously get to know meant sex. So I don't know if that's true. She could be lying. There is no reason to trust anything that's coming out of this woman's mouth. It may or may not be true what she's saying, but I mean, the only thing I do know for sure, she's playing Noah like a fiddle. Lauren and Carmine. What's up with this? This is the second encounter between those two, and I don't know what to think about it. Usually it's Lauren at the restaurant, Carmine tending bar, and he's trying to offer her free drinks, and I don't know, what's up, because I really don't want it to be a romantic thing. That just isn't right. I wonder, the only thing I can think, Carmine was trying to give Lauren advice about Fen, so I don't know if he's gonna somehow befriend Fen and be able to help bring him, I don't know, onto the good side and then get back on Lauren's good graces. I don't know if maybe he will somehow tie into Kevin and Chloe, like what's going on with them, because he has a criminal past. I don't know if Carmine is a good guy or a bad guy. We all know that Abby is coming back into town sooner or later, so I assume they're gonna still be together. I just don't know. But he's definitely flirting with Lauren. There's flirting there. He's saying kind of negative stuff about Michael. Maybe he flirts with everyone. Maybe he's just trying to, I don't know, get in good with someone in Genoa City, but he was kind of saying, Michael is a fool for leaving you here alone, when Michael was basically just late for brunch, and Weiner's been laying this groundwork about Michael being absent lately. He's always canceling things or getting pulled away for something, and then all of a sudden Carmine's there talking to Lauren. So I don't know where this is going. What's up with this? But Michael was just late for brunch because he was stopping by Crimson Lights to see Chloe and Kevin and try to offer them some more help. Obviously, he knows that they're in a bad financial situation and he wants to continue to try to help. The entire time, the district attorney is there. Kevin and Chloe have a bag of stolen money stashed behind the counter. Kevin and Chloe, I just don't know what to say, because it's everything that they're doing is so stupid, but also very comical. So I just don't know how I feel about it. I feel torn. They feel torn about whether or not to keep the cash. They're trying to discuss whether or not they're going to have it laundered, because, as I've been saying, you can't just go around spending a bag of cash that you got it may be marked. Sooner or later you're going to get caught. So they finally realize they have to launder the money. Kevin somehow knows some guy called the Cleaner who is going to help them launder the money. And it's so it's too risky. It's just too risky. Alex is all over it. He is watching them constantly. He knows that they have the money. He's getting up in their grill, asking them questions. It's only a matter of time. They're just not going to be able to pull this off. Alex knew about the cleaner right away, so obviously they can't use him now. So Chloe goes to Chelsea, and they have a little girl-to-girl talk, and Chloe tells Chelsea what's going on, and Chelsea, having been a former con, which I still don't buy, just I don't get it. She doesn't strike me as a con woman, but I don't know why I keep bringing that up. I gotta just let it go, but I need to just let it go, but I can't. Chelsea helps Chloe come up with a plan to launder the money without using the cleaner, and the whole I'm sorry you guys, but the whole plan went right over my head. It happened so quick. Like, Chelsea gave Chloe this idea of what to do. Chloe goes back to Crimson Lights and presents the idea to Kevin as if she came up with it, and essentially, I don't know, they're gonna take out a small business loan for the coffee house, and then pay back the loan with the laundered money, or with the money, and I don't even know. I cannot explain to you what the process is, because it was so convoluted, but whatever. The point is, somehow they've got some idea about how they're going to, some big bright idea about how they're going to launder this money. To me, it all just sounds like the best laid plans. Like, oh yeah, this idea sounds real good, but it's the best laid plans. Literally, it's the best laid plans. Kevin and Chloe haven't had this much sex in ages. Nick and Avery are sexing it up all over the place as well. Nick is getting ready for the grand opening of his nightclub, and he's very, very stressed. And Avery is all too willing to help relax him. It's sweet. Avery is being very sweet. She's very thoughtful. She gave him a gift this week of the first $1 for the restaurant. You know how you go into businesses and they have on the wall the first $1 that they made as kind of a little token or a memory, and she gave him that, his first $1 for the business. It was very sweet. She's making cupcakes for the crew who's working on the club, fixing everything. Avery probably feels bad because the building that Nick has bought is turning out to be a nightmare. It's a stinker. It's got bad wiring. It's got crap all over the place. It's just turning out to be a real dump, and Nick is so worried about whether or not he's going to be able to open on time. Like, everything's going wrong with this freaking club. Like, he doesn't know if he's going to be able to even have the place ready to be wired. They had some flyers printed up that had the wrong address on them. It's just a nightmare. But they've got a lot going on. They've still got their sexualness, which is of course fun to watch. Now, after one of their sexual encounters, Nick goes into Avery's kitchen and he pulls out that jar that contains dog tags that he found a couple of weeks ago, but now he's still curious about it. So as soon as Avery left, she had to go out and do a little errand at actually giving him a gift, and Nick decides to go in there, pull out the dog tags, take a look at them, see the name on them, which was Dylan something or other, and he Googled it, and he saw evidence that this was that Dylan had died in combat, which is consistent with what Avery has said. The thing that I was not sure about was, like, I thought that the guy that died in Afghanistan was her husband. I feel a little bit still murky on the story, but Avery comes back home and catches Nick snooping, catches Nick with the dog tags, which she should have probably been really, really mad at Nick. I would have been. She says, Nick, you didn't strike me as the snooping kind. But Avery has been very shady every time that he's tried to talk to her about it. And finally, she opened up a little bit and said that Dylan was the guy that she had the affair with, which I totally thought it was her husband that had died. But apparently Dylan she had the affair with him. They were probably very madly in love, and then he died in Afghanistan. Nick even asked her was the reason that you guys broke up because he died, or did that happen before that? And she just blew him off. She was like, it doesn't matter. We're together now. None of this matters. So there's clearly a secret there, and what do you know? We finally get a shot of a duffel bag sitting on the table that has Dylan's name on it, and Dylan, can't see his face, but we see him holding an airline ticket. He is getting ready to fly from Bethesda, I think it was, to Genoa City. So Dylan is coming to town. So I guess this is gonna be a huge surprise. Dead man walking. Avery thinks he's dead and he's still alive, unless I'm totally interpreting the story wrong. Maybe it was a secret mission. Maybe Dylan was on a secret mission and they had to pretend like he was dead for some reason. Or maybe he was presumed dead. I don't know, but now he's coming back to Genoa City. And this coincides with the news that Steve Burton has been cast at YNR. I'm assuming, I think everybody's kind of assuming that he's going to be the one playing the role of Dylan. And this is a very interesting twist. Now, Steve Burton, I remember from the 90s, I watched a little bit of General Hospital, just a bit. I was aware of the main characters, and he played Jason, which is such a cool tie-in because I can't think of his name, but the guy who played Deacon was also AJ on General Hospital, who was the brother of Jason, who is now coming on to YNR. So there's an interesting tie-in. Steve Burton's pretty hot. I think this could be really good. And we do need a new hot man on the show. My only kind of beef about it, though, is, shoot, bringing on this sexy hot man beast, let's not give him to Avery. I don't want to give him to Avery. We need to give him to Sharon or Phyllis or somebody. I don't know. I just feel like Avery is too new to the show to get all of the hot guys. Tyler is making me want to puke. Seriously. I'm sorry, but I am not feeling Tyler at all. Ugh, he's feeding Lily these lines all the time. It's so disgusting. He's talking about he feels sorry for Lily for having to work at Jabot, saying how Kane and Neil and Jack, they're all old school, but you know, you're new school, you're more innovative, you're so, you know, fierce, you should be in charge, Lily. Yeah. Like Lily's gonna take career advice from someone who's unemployed. Kane fired his ass, rightfully so. And then Kane, after having seen another moment where Tyler and Lily are having coffee together and being all intimate, Kane decides to rehire him based on Lily's instinct. This Lily seems to feel passionate about this guy because he's kissing her butt, and Kane rehires him? Why is Kane letting this happen? Like, is Kane trying to prove that he's secure in his relationship and so just let this guy come around? Why? Tyler is all over Lily every chance he gets. Every chance he's with her, he is pumping her up, saying, oh, Lily, she has great energy and great ideas, and I'd really like to tap into that. Yeah, that ain't the only thing that you want to tap into, Tyler. We all know it. Your sister knows it. Kane knows it. The only one that doesn't seem to know it is Lily, but I see right through you, and I just don't enjoy it. I'm sorry. If the guy, I mean, the guy's hot, and he's got personality, and he could be great. It's the way he's approaching her that really bugs me. I feel like he's shady, like he's smarmy or something, and that he's trying to get it, you know, he's just trying to get with her and maybe get a little bit higher up in the company while he's at it. I just don't like that type of person. So it bothers me. I just don't like that shade. But it ain't gonna stop anytime soon. Everybody in the Winters family is getting ready to go to Nick's club opening. Lily and Kane, they're like, what are we gonna wear? We're gonna have a fun night. Oh, but uh-oh, there's suddenly a problem at Jabot, and Kane's not going to be able to go to the nightclub opening. But Tyler can. Tyler takes a look at the flyer and decides, oh, well, maybe he can go and find his own opening with Lily. Kane and Neil sharing the CEO position at Jabot is ridiculous. Jack appointed Kane to be CEO, but he is instead letting Neil run the show. So Kane's just CEO in title only. Really, Neil is the one who's supposed to be calling the shots, but they're already button heads there, and in an unfriendly way. It's weird. Why would Kane tell Neil that he's in charge and then not let him be in charge? It's like Kane actually admitted that he wasn't ready to give up the CEO position. He wanted to have it, but he still deferred to Neil anyway. And I think, well, why is Kane being such a chump about this? Like, be assertive. If you want the job, take the job, and fire Tyler if that's what you want to do, frankly. Because Leslie's the only reason that he got that job in the first place, probably the only reason that he's sticking around in the first place. But now that Leslie and Neil have had sex, they have to go back to working together, and it's very awkward. They have this very strict policy of if we're working together, we can't see each other, and it's really more from Leslie's end. Leslie wants it to be strictly business. She does not want to get involved with someone who she is working with, which makes complete sense, of course, but she also mentioned that she had had a bad experience with that before, and the guy was like, I don't know, basically stalking her, and it just didn't turn out good. So she's decided that she has, even though they've had this incredible night of great sex, she's decided she has to keep it professional with Neil. And the whole time I'm thinking, God, is Leslie made of steel? How could she possibly avoid this? It's just, it's funny because she started out the week trying to be very professional and really selling it. She was selling the cold to me, but then at the end of, I think Friday's show it was, Leslie had this fantasy. It was like the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. Leslie walks into Neil's office and he's standing by the window, and of course he's just being Neil, but Leslie in her fantasy sees him standing there with his shirt off. And Neil's just looking at her, like, standing there shirtless in his office, offering to stir her coffee for her. Oh, you want me to stir your coffee for you, Leslie? It was very, very funny. I totally enjoyed it. And then she flashes back and, like, into reality, and Neil's just kind of standing there. Kristoff St. John. That was such a joy just to see something little like that. He deserves that. He has so much personality, and I wish that they would use him more. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, I would have sex with Neil in a heartbeat. I think he's a total hunk. I mean, it's like 20 years of over my life lust building up for Neil. It's about time we saw him shirtless a hell of a lot more often, don't you think? Okay. What do you guys think? It's your turn to give me all of your opinions. I know that you have them. What do you think about the storylines? What do you think about the casting news? Anything you want to tell me, go ahead and use the comment box below and feel free to let it rip. Tell me everything you're feeling, and I'm going to be looking forward to reading your thoughts and responding to them, of course. Okay, everybody, I love you. I hope you've had a good week, and I'm going to be looking forward to next week's show. Hopefully Nick's Club will be opening up, and we'll get a little bit of drama happening there, too. So until then, I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Bye!